Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we're doing another installment of the weekly meta breakdown where we look at the top performing decks on the MTG Arena ladder. This particular video will be for standard best of 1. If you're looking for best of 3, historic, explore, alchemy, even historic brawl. We did a video on historic brawl, the best decks in those formats. Check out the playlist and it covers everything with that. We try to get out the content weekly minus the historic brawl. And try to look at trends in terms of popularity of decks, win rates of decks, evolution of decks from week over week. Similarly, if there's like metagame challenges, events that you need specific decks for, I cover it on the channel as well. So if you need deck lists, this is where you got to stop to get them. We'll get everything from there. And we get the data from TapGG, what you see on the screen. It's a companion tool that runs alongside Arena's client, aggregates win rate stats for all the users, and then gives us cool stats from there. So we're going to jump in. Notable thing to preface today. Today there will be a ban and restricted announcement. It's their annual ban and restricted, so they switched their process that they're only going to do bans and announcements once a year on a static date, and then emergency bans 2 weeks after a set release. So August 7th is ban day. We don't know if stuff's getting banned in standard. I have my choices. I would like to see Sheoldred go. I would like to see Farewell go, Wandering Emperor go, Traxa go, probably Rafine go, and then just open up the field. I don't think anything is major enough in mono red that would warrant it, because you can really just tweak your decks to beat mono red with like sweepers and stuff. But I think that really opens it up. White's been to, since the first bans, they let white kind of run over, and they need to kind of do some balance. They need to unban basic forest basically and make it so you can actually play green cards. But those are my thoughts. In any case, we're going to jump in for best of 1 ladder. So as always, we start off with popularity of the day, and then we're going to be looking July 31st through August 7th in terms of data. So in terms of popularity of the day, mono white, mono red burn, enchantress, mono red aggro, all about 10 to 12%. The difference between the burn version and the mono red aggro version: burn version's on mechanized warfare, mono red version is on the creature heavier version. The big thing here is we've seen mono white, which last week was at 16%, drop down and kind of normalize with the rest of the pack. Outside of that, we haven't seen really any big like movers in terms of like increase or decrease for the week. Mono black kind of fell off, came back right back to where it was. The enchantment decks has been fairly stable around the double digits. The mono red aggro deck has seen some fall off. It was as high, if we're looking back, 12, 13%. Now it's in the single digits, sub 10%. So it's interesting to see with that how these things change. So we're going to go into it. We are looking platinum to mythic rank. The reason we're doing this is because the ladder reset as of July 1st. So everyone that was in mythic is now in platinum. So the first week is usually people trying to rank up into the higher ranks. So we're going to do it for this week, and then towards the end of the month, we shift our parameters to go look at just mythic rank. And the top deck, surprisingly, is Azorius Control. 65% win rate. Wasn't even on the top 8 popular decks. So interesting to see there. If we look at the stats here, if we put in Azorius Control, so it's got a big win rate increase this week, but it only represents 3.6% of the meta. And this version here is really just answering a lot of what your opponent's trying to do. What you'll notice with this deck is because it's playing laydown arms, it has access to both Rafine's Tower and Spara's headquarters. The reason for this is this adds additional counts of planes to your deck, so it increases the likelihood that laydown arms can be a scalable threat. Ambitious Farmhand is the only creature in the deck, but it's mainly in here to find you extra lands. In a pinch, it could be flipped, but it's more likely just to be an early ramp and blocker. Your main win conditions are the Wandering Emperor to make tokens, Sunfall token, or Jace to mill out your opponent. The rest of the deck is, like I said, counter spells and make disappear. You have some soul partitions as early game removal along with laydown arms. Thirst for Discovery helps you draw into stuff. Memory Deluge helps you find key cards. And then Sunfall, Farewell on the top end of the package. So really just kind of luring your opponent into committing to the board, and then you Sunfall away all their hopes and dreams. Then a deck we haven't seen in a while, Azorius Soldiers, has largely fallen off in lieu of the mono white version of the Humans deck. But this is pretty much a stock Soldiers list that we've seen in the past. Your 1-drops and Recruitment Officer for Yodi and Frontliner, Harbin for Go Wide, just to give you like a big burst of damage and flying, Valiant Veteran as a Lord effect, Thalia for tax, Resolute for multiple bodies, Brutal Cathar's removal, Siege Veteran for counters and insurance against removal, Sky Strike Officer as card advantage, and then Myrel as like a go wide mechanic. Like if you attack with this, you pretty much could win the game, just because you're going to get so much like go wide. Maybe not against blue-white control, but in the creature mirrors, you can kind of gum up the board quite a large amount. Fortified Beachhead is kind of a mana sink as well in here for your Lord, or like for all your soldiers. We then go into the most popular deck of the week at 63% win rate. This is the Mono White Humans list. And notably, this version this week is going on the 4 Knight Errant of Eos. This card will allow you to provide some card advantage, plays really nicely with things with vigilance like the Adeline. This version is using like Intrepid Adversary over Valiant Veteran as the Lord style effect, given that your creatures are humans, some are soldiers, some are knights, some are scouts, some are Phyrexian mites. But similar 1-drops with Recruitment Officer, Hopeful Initiate, which sees play in like the Pioneer and Explorer version of humans, Thalia for tax, some ossification with the Brutal Cathar as removal as well. Very easy to build mana base. You click Plains and 1 Igancho. You then go to Naya Humans. So this is at 61% win rate. And this is another humans-based pile, but it's using kind of things like Plaza Heroes, Secluded Courtyard, and some of the dual lands to be able to cast green and red humans as well. So with green, you get Malira, that's like a nice protection effect. You get both the Sigardas, Champion of Light for card advantage through Covenant and Lord effect, and then Sigarda Font of Blessing that lets you play cards off the top of your library for value. So nice kind of 1-2 punch there. You have a Dejuro and Hazoret that lets you free cast stuff off the top. And then Halana and Alana lets you buff up your team. Like each creature, give them haste. So each subsequent creature you cast each turn kind of come in with burst damage. Really nice with the flyers to give you an evasive threat. Ninth Peacekeeper has tax effect, and then the Adeline's Brutal Cathar is mixed into there as well. We'll then go to Selesnya Enchantments, and this week it looks like they're kind of shifting some of their 3-drop selections. So they have a copy of Invasion of Theros. So this is a nice effect. I like 1 of in the deck. I don't like playing more of. So the front side is fine. Notably, what you can do is you can tutor up both Ossification or Audacity with this. The big payoff is if you can flip it. So dealing 4 damage isn't terribly difficult, especially with like Kamiya Transients. The flip side is very powerful. Afara Ever Sheltering. So it has lifelink and indestructible as long as you control 3 other enchantments. So this gets quite formidable in terms of creature races. And then it has the Enchantress ability. Whenever an enchantment enters a battlefield under your control, you draw a card. So this kind of helps you refuel. You pair that up with like Calyx for counters, Seal it to exist from existence as just more removal. And then you have your standard package of like Weaver of Harmony, Spirited Companion, Mashiko for Pump, Naturalist, Generous Visitor kind of mixed into there as well. We'll then go to Mono Red Burn. So last week's highest win rate deck, 60.1%. And this version here, like I said, is the Mechanized Warfare version, being the burn version of the deck. This gets advantage of End of Festivities. So this is very good against, like, if we look at some of these soldier piles, like there's a lot of incidental X1s in the deck. And then it stacks with your Mechanized Warfare. So if you have 2 Mechanized Warfares out, well, your End of Festivities deals 3 damage to each of your opponent's creatures. So very powerful in that respect. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of burn and like ping damage. Very like efficient 1-drops. Kumano, Swift Spear, Phoenix Chick, Play of Fire, Lightning Strike. Voldaren Epicure does a ping, and then it lets you loot late game if you kind of draw too many lands. Ren's Resolve as some card advantage, similar with Feldon mixed into there. We'll then move to Mono Red Aggro. So pretty much the same win rate, 0.9%. So someone lost 1 match somewhere along the way and screwed up the rankings. But this week it looks like they're running the 2 Strangles in addition to the Play of Fire and Lightning Strike. So 10 burn removal spells that can also be flashed back. While this will have a harder time dealing with Go Wide compared to like the burn version, it can do incidentally more damage in 1 burst, just given that you have more powerful threats in like Thunder and Graiju. Squee can help you go wide, and then similar packages. The Adversary is nice just to kind of flashback stuff as well. We'll then go to 5 color domain, 57.6. So attracts a ramp pile. Basically, throw your lands into play. Topiary Stomper, Invasion of Zendikar helps you ramp. Herb Migration helps you find cards. Ideally, cast a Traxa or Natali and spin to win. Refills your hands. Leyline Binding can be as little as a 1 mana. Exile any non-land permanent in this deck, thanks to domain through the abilities here. Ossification is removal. Azusa for an extra line drop early and some life gain, and then you have Sweepers and Sunfall. And Archangel of Wrath also as a way to kind of pick off opponents' things. The one thing we've been seeing in the last couple weeks that looks like it's been reverted is a 3-1 Archangel of Wrath to Wandering Emperor split. The Wrath is a 5 mana removal spell. Emperor is a 3. Emperor can deal with bigger things. Archangel sticks around and gains you life, so there's benefits each way. The Wandering Emperor also sticks around post a Sunfall, which is nice. So it's just kind of tweaks here and there that you can consider in that respect. And then lastly, we have Mono Black Control. So this is a little bit different than what we've been seeing the last few weeks. This version I actually wouldn't recommend. Let me find you a different one. That looks like just mono black cards I've thrown together. Okay. Well, that one technically had a little bit higher of a win rate. That's the one of Akiba mob boss. As soon as you see a one of Akiba mob boss, that's not where you want to be. But this version here of the deck is going to be running like your cut downs, your go for the throats, Evolve Sleeper, Underdog Package, Lily, Trespasser, Phyrexian Flesh Gorger comes in here. To be honest, in best of one, I would go 3 Lilianas, 4 Flesh Gorgers. It's a lot more aggressive. The decks that we've seen can usually spam the board, so the minus isn't as relevant on Lily. Or like it's still removal, but you're not targeting in that regard. Flesh Gorger can also gain you life, which is helpful in those mirrors because you could usually win the late game. You just got to get to the late game. This version is also playing 2 of Invasion of Innistrad this week. So it comes in minus 13/13, and then if you flip it, you get to create zombie tokens from exiling cards from graveyard. So nice mana sink late game. Can deal with bigger creatures. A little bit kind of overpriced removal when you try to get rid of a Monastery Swiftspear for 4 mana, but something that's being tried out in that flex spot. 3 Gix command can be a sweeper, can be like rebuy creatures, give you lifelink to things. So flexible card there, and then the card that I want to be banned in Standard and pretty much every format is Shieldred. I just want to play my aggro decks, especially in Historic. I'm tired of Shieldred One Ring action, but gains you a bunch of life, kind of just taxes your opponent from doing any game actions of drawing cards. It can win the game by just sitting there on its own. So that's it for the week. Let me know what you're playing, and most importantly, let me know what you think should be banned. We'll catch you next time.